Hi, I'm Johnny Ortega, the author of The Ordinary Bruja, which launches November 1st, 2025. And here I am, I'm giving you a teaser of chapter 1. And this is a pre-publication special audiobook teaser just for you. And I want you to listen. Let's go. Chapter 1. Marisol Espinal's name tag glinted under the harsh cafe lights. A cruel little mirror reflecting something she didn't want to see. The letters wavered, causing her eyes to squint. God, she hated mirrors. But something appeared off in the reflection. She leaned in for a better view. The letters twisted like heat waves on pavement, morphing into a different word. Her stomach squeezed. Does it say ordinary? Heat rose to her neck. She blinked, but the word was still there, pulsing as if alive, refusing to prove her sight wrong. Right then, the faint scent of cigar smoke drifted past her, starkly out of place amid the cafe's familiar aroma of espresso and pastries. Marisol glanced around, wondering if someone was smoking inside or lingering too close to the door. She tore her gaze from the name tag. She hated mirrors, always had, but this felt different. Of course her name tag didn't read ordinary. That was ridiculous. Still, she wondered if someone was playing a sick joke on her. She walked across the cafe to the actual large mirror by the corner booth, the one customers use for selfies with their drinks. Eyes followed her, but she didn't care. Who would play with my name tag? Las Tres Mojonas? They were the only ones cruel enough. She felt a tug on her sleeve and looked behind her, her jaw clenched, half expecting to see Delgada or one of her cronies, but it was Kia, tall, calm, and somehow always exactly where Marisol needed her to be. Her hair was in a high puff, the cafe's soft light haloing it. Her hoodie hung off one shoulder as if she hadn't noticed or didn't care. Kia never tried too hard, and maybe that's what made her magnetic, steady, in a way Marisol had never known. You good, Maddie? You got that faraway look again. Marisol released a shaky breath. She took a quick glance at the mirror, just long enough to catch her name tag's glint. The letters seemed to shift. That is a B, not an O, right? She gave her head a quick shake, hoping to confirm what she thought. But the image wouldn't settle, and her stomach twisted again. Mari? She heard Kia call her again. Marisol blinked at her reflection. Same old word, barista. Nothing had changed. It's just exhaustion, she said to herself, yet the unease gnawing at her stomach wouldn't let go. She turned away from the mirror, silently promising herself not to look at it for the rest of her shift. Yeah, I'm okay. Just tired. Kia nodded, but Marisol could tell she wasn't buying it. Why? Begrudgingly, she turned back toward the mirror, breaking her promise seconds after making it. But it was necessary. She needed to see what her face was giving away, what truths might spill out before she could contain them. If she could catch it first, she could say the right thing, or say something that wouldn't worry Kia, that wouldn't make anyone else look at her for too long. This was why she avoided mirrors. They showed too much. They showed 2 years of college, 3 semesters short of graduating, and thousands of dollars in student loans. Back in Willow Shade, barista badge and all, making lattes for the same people she once swore she'd never see again. That's what the mirror showed. And it had only been 10 months since Mommy died. The mirror showed that too. 10 months since she had dropped out and came home to the place she promised herself she'd never return. She was bad at keeping promises, that was for sure. And 10 months felt both too long and not nearly long enough. Each day was a tug of war between pretending she was okay and not letting the weight of it break her. Guilt and failure clung to her every time she thought about coming so close to graduating college, but then leaving. Self-hate simmered just beneath her skin, sour and sharp. This was the place where she used to dream of becoming someone else, someone better, someone extraordinary. She was supposed to come back transformed, untouchable. She used to imagine walking in a new version of herself, so radiant, so successful, that the ones who once looked down on her would scramble for her attention. And she let them, just long enough to feel what she had felt. Dismissal. Then they know what it was to be small. But that fantasy shattered the moment she returned with nothing but dead and a diploma-shaped hole in her life. The old school bell above the door chimed, sharp and familiar, cutting through the noise in her head. Without thinking, Marisol reacted with a greeting for whoever had walked through the door. "Welcome to Espresso Enchantment." "Watch out," Kia murmured. Kia's tone raised alarm bells for Marisol, but it was too late. She had been too busy unscrewing the cap of new hazelnut syrup bottle to look up in time. Right in front of her stood one of her 3 nightmares in living form, Delgada. One of the girls who made her life a living hell. One of the reasons she used to dream of running away from this miserable town. Did I manifest her? Their eyes locked, and for a second, just a second, Delgada's lips moved before she actually spoke, a sense of deja vu slipping into Marisol's present. Delgada's smirk, slow and deliberate, appeared, curling at the edges of her lips. Marisol knew her cruelty well. The cafe suddenly felt colder, as if the heater had died hours ago and it was now the middle of the night. Marisol's stomach squeezed involuntarily at the thought of who she now had to serve, the queen of calorie counting and casual cruelty, the girl who once called her café con leche curbs in front of the entire gym class after snatching her clothes and getting everyone else to pretend the bathroom was empty, just so Marisol would have to walk out in her underwear into an audience. And now here she was, wrapped in designer leggings, an overpriced jacket, trendy boots, and an insincere smile to match. "You want me to take care of her?" Kia always stood up for Marisol, even before she knew she needed defending. Other friends, mostly college people, had come and gone, vanishing the moment her world fell apart. One even let her crash at her family estate during COVID, convincing her she could outrun the legacy she had been born into, of someone born here from a line who hadn't always been here. Her entire life she had found herself to not be Dominican nor American enough, a limbo she had gotten accustomed to. And staying at her friend's family estate during the pandemic was supposed to be her incubator. Being around wealth would have changed her into someone more confident, productive, with class. She had hoped that what she had gotten accustomed to, she could overcome there. But when Marisol's grief became inconvenient, so did her friendships. But Kia had never disappeared. Even now, she caught Kia watching Delgada, poised to step in if she tried anything with Marisol. "Please, I'm not letting her ruin my whole day," Marisol said, trying to sound as nonchalant as Delgada acted. "Too late for that," Kia said, popping a muffin onto a tray. "Maybe I'll spill hot milk on her shoes. Accidentally, of course." Marisol squared her shoulders before smirking. "You only spill it on my shoes instead. And unlike you, I don't have emergency backup boots in my trunk energy." Marisol wanted so badly to be light instead of weak, to joke, to play things off, to not feel like every nerve in her body was constantly exposed, especially in front of Kia, who had done so much for her since Mommy died. Still, a knot of dread wound tight in her middle. You think my aim is that bad? Kia arched an eyebrow. Kia's voice, her tone, made Marisol forget just for a second that the queen of calorie counting and casual cruelty had walked in. Forget that her chest was on fire. Marisol pursed her lips with amusing doubt. When I miss, it's on purpose, Kia added with a wink. Marisol couldn't think of anything else to say. Heat crept into her cheeks. Since when did Kia being cute come with feelings? Romantic ones, even. She shook her head hard, shoving the thought to the back of the endless line of things she didn't have the bandwidth for. They were friends, that was all. She cleared her throat, aiming for nonchalance, but her voice caught in the dryness there. I don't think I want to test that theory. Kia leaned her head against Marisol's shoulder, and for one quiet second, the world tilted upright. Kia was the only thing keeping Marisol from walking out of Cafe Enchantment, crawling into Mommy's bed, and staying there until bill collectors knock on her door. Her light-hearted banter made the long days feel short. I see you two are still playing footsie, Delgada chirped, interrupting their whispered back and forth. She tossed her ponytail like a show pony trained for shade. Anyway, good morning. As Kia headed to the back to get more baked goods, her fingers grazed Marisol's balled fists. She's not worth it, Kia murmured to her before throwing shade at Delgada. And she was right. Marisol wasn't going to give Delgada that satisfaction of getting under her skin, even though seeing her brought the memories back. The gym class cruelty, the rumors, the way she wished Mommy had picked homeschooling. All those years of daily torment from Delgada, Sabia, and Blanca. Las Tres Mojonas, as Mommy used to call them. Oat milk, extra foam, you remember, right? Of course, Marisol said, forcing a smile. She punched in the order, pressing the keys harder than necessary, and cracked the nail. Well, that's tragic, Delgada said, not meaning any of it. Marisol rolled her eyes. Don't let her get under your skin, she reminded herself. Out of the corner of her eye, Marisol watched Delgada adjust the zipper in her designer jacket, her fingers fumbling slightly, just for a fraction of a second, as if maintaining control was harder than it appeared. Delgada glanced around warily, then fixed her gaze back on Marisol with the practiced smirk she wore like armor. Marisol wanted to say so much at that moment, like how she understood how embarrassing it was when the zipper wouldn't budge, how hard it is to find the right size in outerwear, especially when considering all the layers one had to wear underneath. How much strategizing one had to do to make sure the entire look wasn't bulky sloppy but bulky fashionable. I told Sabia you were still here. She doesn't want to believe me. Her syrupy sweet, dripping with condescension tone took whatever kind words Marisol could have said right out of her mouth. Delgada took a picture, capturing Marisol in the most awkward moment. Hey, Marisol began. We're all friends here, right? Delgada said, fully offended as if it was her boundaries that were trespassed. Plus, this is a nice gig, a nice life. I mean, no real responsibilities, just doing whatever you want. You probably dumped a ton of syrup in your cup and go full fat, huh? That must be nice. You're winning, Marisol. Marisol clenched her jaw and slid the syrup bottle out of reach, afraid she might hurl it at the floor or at Delgada. She tore the receipt from the register and handed it to her without a word, her nostrils flaring. She wouldn't give Delgada the reaction she wanted, although her nerves were frayed raw. She rubbed her broken nail against her jeans, hoping the friction would smooth it out. The hiss of steam drowned out whatever other jabs Delgada was throwing her way. The milk took forever to warm. Marisol's breath came short as she nodded along, pretending to listen. Breathe, Kia murmured as she passed by with a tray of croissants. You know she lives for that reaction. I know, Marisol muttered, finally letting her shoulders drop. Doesn't mean it hurts any less. The words came out sharper than she intended. She winced when she caught the shift in Kia's expression. You forget, I know what it's like to be written off, she murmured back. Kia didn't elaborate, and Marisol didn't have to ask. She knew her friend was right. She handed Delgada her oat milk latte and watched her leave. Guilt settled in her stomach. Sometimes she forgot that Kia, whose optimism rivaled those untouched by hardship, has survived parents who tried to pray the gay away. Marisol opened her mouth to say something, an apology or a thank you. She wasn't yet sure, but froze as the faint scent of cigar smoke returned, curling softly around her senses. She turned around sharply, her eyes darting toward the cafe window. For a brief, heart-stopping moment, she thought she saw a shadow shift beneath the street lamp across the road, standing perfectly still, as if watching her. Then, just as quickly, it vanished. Marisol? Kia asked softly, following her gaze. What's wrong? Marisol swallowed hard. Her fingers had gone cold. Nothing, she lied again. I guess I'm just really tired. As she turned her attention back to the espresso machine, annoyed with herself, with Delgada, with everyone and everything that determinedly picked at every half-healed scar, she couldn't shake the lingering scent. It clung to her like a question, whispering of something more, something waiting. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited. So, if you like it, stay tuned because I have the other few chapters 2, 3, and 4 coming at you here pretty soon as audiobook teasers. I also have the ebook teaser up on my website. I will put the link on the show notes. And if you're enjoying it, don't forget, The Ordinary Bruja is available for pre-order right now, so you can pre-order it. And pre-orders get extra goodies. And the ebook version of the pre-order is 50% off right now until the book launches on November 1st. So what are you waiting for? Take advantage of it. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.